South Sudan will never see peace, development, security, and prosperity until the mentality of Jieng elite that they must always take more than other people, or even to the extent of taking what belongs to the other people, is stopped. And as I'm speaking to you right now, it's not just out of fabrication or lies or anything, but I'm talking to you based on what history has in the say for us. So, in 1960s and 1970s, shortly or like 20 years after Sudan got her independence from the English colonialism, the southern Sudan was under severe marginalization from the northerners, underdevelopment and ignorant. What happened was these people of southern Sudan demanded autonomous region to rule themselves on their own. They fought for that until it was granted to them by the government of Sudan. So when this wish was granted to them by the government of Sudan, it happened that one of the leader of the Southern Autonomous Region, which is like a president, happened to be from a Dinka descent. And that guy is called Abelalier. So what this guy did was, it turns the autonomous region, which belongs to, 64 different ethnicities, into a one monoethnic state that employs only people from, the same ethnic groups, and taking majority of the seats, not only majority, like almost 70 or 80%. All the resources, almost 80 or 70% goes to them. And that led into so much outrages from the people of Equatoria and some people from the Upper Nile region, and even in Bahr al-Ghazal, because all these people share this common, system of governing themselves. And then when the people of Equatorian outrage, that is the reason today we have three regions, which is Upper Nile, Bahr al-Ghazal, and Equatoria. These people say that we don't want to be marginalized or to be, treated unfairly by the government of the Southern Autonomous Region. So we need the Autonomous Region of Sudan to be taken back into, of South Sudan to be taken back into Sudan. We don't want it anymore because it doesn't represent us. And of course, as majority of people speak, with the exception of the Dinka, the government of Sudan, yes, that is democracy. He dismantled the Southern Autonomous Region and divided the Southern Sudan into three regions, which is Bahr al-Ghazal, Equatoria, and Upper Nile. And I'm telling you, as a South Sudanese, if you don't know the reason why we have three regions today, is because of lack of fairness from Dinka elites who believe that they have to take more than others and even take what belongs to others. So let's go into more history. In 1980, after the Southern Sudan Autonomous Region was dismantled, the government of Khartoum formed three regions, which is, as I mentioned to you, Upper Nile, Bahr al-Ghazal, and Equatoria. And then because of that, the Dinka elite, including the people who were, working in that government of Southern Region, didn't feel happy about that. And what they did was they mobilized, some people, especially, Dinka people that they saw brightness in them, that they saw that could, foster their mentality and their ideology. And they found Garang. Garang used to work with the government of Sudan, and then they called him in. When he came, they founded what's so-called the SPLA. So SPLA came in 1983. When it came, it first merged together with what is known as Anyanya 2, in which Carbino Kwanyin was part of, in which Samuel Gaitur was part of as well, like the top protagonists, leaders of the Anyanya 2. So most of those people are, fostering this idea that, okay, we want a Sudan that is fair and we want an autonomous region, more autonomous, which is like an independent state. So what happened when Garang came, with his other people that follows him, because he has like colleagues as well from different part of South Sudan. They, had conflict with the people of the Anyanyas, and then they fought, and they killed many top, leaders of the Anyanyas, and they became, the, permanent political movement in the southern Sudan. So one of the people who were with Garang was William Nyonbany, who was his like close friend. I believe they were in the U.S. together, or in Egypt. I don't know, somewhere like that. So what happened was, when they found the SPLM, they caught many top intellectual and political leaders, and even military leaders who have, the capacity to think and refuse what is not right for the people of Southern Sudan. They jailed some of them and they killed some of them. So what happened was, the SPLM was like, this entity that became an oppressive force toward the people of South Sudan, and a pleasing force toward, the people of the Northern Sudan. Because it advocates for like, one Sudan, and then we want this and we want that. But in the southern part of region, this is not what it implements. It implements division, killing, massacres. And that was the first massacre and genocide that was committed by the SPLM. It was in 1987, when they targeted the Gaja Nuer in the eastern part of the country along the Ethiopian border. They displaced these people, like hundreds of thousands of people. They displaced them. They were killing them actually, but because they didn't want to die, they escaped into Ethiopia. That is why there's like so many refugees camps in Ethiopia today. It's because of these people in the western part of Ethiopia. So this is the brutalization. The SPLM came with this version of oppression, of this version of, abusing, the values, of this people of the Southern Sudan. They brought rapes as weapon. They brought plunder, robbery, to justify that they are people who are fighting for liberation struggle. But in fact, they weren't. They were like having different agendas and ideas. Ideas of, recruiting children as young as 7 years of age, 8, 10, even sometimes 6. And then they would, brainwash this kid and dog whistle to them that anybody with cattle is like a bourgeoisie. You understand that? So it's like that mentality of communism. They brought and then implemented in a different version. And then there was a conflict, between the movement and the social societies who existed there, because the new form of values and morality are different to what they have. And then there was a lot of conflicts between the movement and the people. And again, the movement too doesn't represent the rights and what people need. It represents completely different things. It just plundered them, raped them, killed them, displaced them, instead of protecting them, while they call themselves Sudan People's Liberation Movement. And the reason why they formed this movement in the first place is because the southern people, the people of Blue Nile, the people of Nuba Mountain and Darfur, are believed to be marginalized by the Khartoum regime. So, considering all these facts, the movement have intellectuals, have people who, who knows what is right and wrong. And the movement is split in 1991, where, there's another movement that goes out and calls itself South Sudan Independent Movement, and this movement that remain has the SPLM, and they fought terribly. And I can't say that, this one is too much wrong and this one is too much right, or like who has this or who has that. But the reality is that the nepotism, the segregation, the tribalism in the SPLM led to a split of it. And it is because of the values that the Jieng elite have in believing that they always have to have more than what other people have, or to the extent of where they would think that we need to have what belongs to other people. So they always wish the goodness to be theirs. So that's what brought conflict. Another thing is, in 2013, a conflict broke out, which is the one of the most dangerous civil war in Africa. in South Sudan after it got her independence. And this conflict was brought to life by the fact that the mentality of Jieng elite that they don't want what belongs to others is like crazily colossal. You know, the president of the Republic of South Sudan in 2011, when we got our independence, it became Salva Kiir, who is still the president right now. So he got that seat by hierarchy, you know. And when he got that seat by hierarchy, many political leaders within the SPLM movement endorsed him and they stood with him, believing that, you know, their hierarchy within the movement should continue as well. And maybe it could change a little bit, but as long as he is, you know, the leader of the southern, you know, region, he should just continue being the leader of the Republic of South Sudan before we go to the election. But here is the problem. The Jieng elite knew that the people of South Sudan are going to demand the government to go to election. And if people go to election, who is going to win? Dr. Riek Machar. Dr. Riek Machar is not a Jieng. And then they saw that that's not good for them. And then they said we have to, you know, create problems. We have to create conflict so that we dismantle, even if it leads to, you know, taking the country into civil war. We need to make sure that Dr. Riek Machar doesn't become a leader. Or not only him, but nobody else become a leader. But Dr. Riek Machar was the target by then. Although Dr. Riek Machar was the running mate of Salva Kiir in 2010, when he was being endorsed to become the leader, he's the only one who rallies, who say that Kiir deserved to be the leader because of his hierarchy, number one. Number two, because of that hierarchy, he deserved to lead. Even if it is for like 2 or 3 years, he deserves to lead. They were comrades in the struggle. What happened was, the same guy who endorses him, he wants to kill him, simply because he's not a Jieng. He is, you know, a different ethnic group's member. And then that is what led the South Sudan into war. And it is because of the Jieng elite mentality that they should have more than other people, or even take what belongs to other people, because it is Dr. Riek Machar's right to be the president of South Sudan. And just like any South Sudanese, anyone has the right to be the leader. And if it happened that he's the most influential man in South Sudan to become the leader in 2015, and then it could have been. But they said no. And they took country back to war. And they loved that because they became the leader. They maintain their power, they exploit, and they do whatever they want. Okay, let's forget about, you know, Dr. Riek Machar. Let's come to 2025. In 2025, after Kiir has fought Dr. Riek Machar so many times that he doesn't want him, Kiir and his Dinkel elite, like, because there's something called JCE, the Jieng Council of Elders, who set itself. It's like a one ethnic 12 setting itself to facilitate how the nation function. So isn't that concerning to you, if that is happening? I don't think that happened in Rwanda. I don't think that happened in Ghana. I don't think that happened in Tanzania, where, you know, at least there is peace. I don't even think that happened in South Africa. I don't even think that happened anywhere in the world, unless it happened in countries that are suppressing their people. And of course, if that's what you want, to suppress other people and, you know, make country into a field where there's no uneasiness, there's no fairness, and then you have to do that. And that's what is happening practically in South Sudan. So in 2025, Salva Kiir has a deputy called James Waniga. By hierarchy of the SPLM, after Dr. Riek Machar was chased away and forced to form another movement, he automatically became the second heir to the throne. If it happened, SPLM are, you know, entitled to lead for life. Let's just, you know, assume that if SPLM are entitled to lead for life, as they say, okay, there is like hierarchy within the SPLM. There are heirs there. There is James Waniga, there is Kwalma Nyangjuk, There are so many people that are, following the line. So that means if Kir is gone, James Waniga would have come. But guess what? James was relieved and sacked. And he brought in a Dinka man to replace him. Because he's sick. And he's not trusting that he could live for more years to come. And again, in 2026, the country, as they say, is going to election. And he doesn't want anybody else to go into that election apart from a Dinka man. Do you see that? So, in 1970s, 60s, 80s, in 2005, in 2013, and in 2025, the same elite, the same people, taking the country back to war because of dismantling and holding other people's right. Do you see anything wrong with that? If you don't see anything wrong with that, then it's up to you. I wouldn't force you to see anything wrong with it. Because at the end of the day, it is your future, my future, and our generation's future. So if this mentality of Jieng elite doesn't stop, and then I'm telling you, to be honest with you, South Sudan will split again into several independent state or autonomous state. Or we risk being a country that is lawless, that is led by anarchy, a country that has no hope, and live through a cycle of violence, hunger, pain, and suffering. And the problem is that the Dinka elite or the Jieng elite don't do development. They don't know that. All they know is that just take money and just brag about it. Make videos that I'm rich, buy many cars. That's it, nothing else. And then just want to be followed and praised by people. And want to have like, you just too much, that I'm full, I'm satisfied, I'm okay. And that is a terrible culture. So before we finish, this is what I'm trying to explain. And I'm done here. But I will refer you to a historical context. In the 19th century, in the 18th century, which is 1900, what the Dinka elite are like as well, and compared to what they are like now. So there is a reference here. They said in the year 1909, there was a Dinka Wakil Mamur, had Duk Padiet called Fadl al-Mullah, Ismo Fadl al-Mullah. His name is Fadl al-Mullah, his Arabic name, because many Southerners before, who work with the government of Anglo-Egyptian, you must have sometime Arabic name so that you could be recognized. So he, with his police, aided the Dinkas to loot cattle from the Nuer. You understand that? So he aids the Dinka, he gave them guns of that belongs to the government. That's all his wakil. And they went and loot cattle from the Nuer. And the retaliation, what happened? Let's read it. And then this so exasperated the Nuer that they attacked the Duk Padiet police post. So that led the Nuer people and exasperated them to attack the police post that belongs to the government. And now, if you look at it here, it says that this was the first occasion on which Nuer were ever hostile to the government. So in this sense, the Nuer retaliated by attacking the government post and, attacking the Duk Padiet as a whole to, bring back their cattle. And that is because of a mistake done by someone who is supposed to be responsible, who is supposed to be respectful of law. But instead, he was not. And that is like almost over 100 years ago. This person did it. And that's not the only thing. There are hundreds of different things here. Like hundreds of different occasions like this that happened 100 years ago and that are still happening now. The looting, the grabbings of other people's land, the killing of people, the suppression, and many more.